Joe in real life. Squat every day, day 112. I got my Pete the Cat cup today. I don't know. So yesterday, in my comments, one of my subscribers gave me a little critique, and I'm gonna talk through an experience that I'm sure everyone has had, and you know, it's not a fresh take. Let's put it that way, you know. But like, it was a completely polite and rational comment stating that, well, I'm going to summarize that I need to hit some kind of standard every day if I'm going to call this squat every day. You know, that it can't just be these willy-nilly goofball squats, which I do. I use for active recovery. I have historically. Split squats, weird squats, you know, even bodyweight squats. Like, I'm not proud. But his point was that, like, you know, some kind of basic standard should be met in order for it to be called this. And I'm putting words in your mouth, and I don't necessarily mean to. So if you take issue with that, I apologize. And, you know, you can let me know in the comments again. My first gut reaction to that was a low grade kind of rage. like, you know, not extreme, but I felt a little like on my heels, defensive, and I was ready to fire back, you know, like, because my goal here isn't to completely plagiarize Ivan Jerk. And I feel like that's clear, and he didn't state as much, you know. Like, I don't care really what my max squat is. It's fun, it's nice, but like, I'm pushing more for longevity and joy, just joy, you know. I'm leaning towards joyfulness rather than joylessness. But that wasn't his point. I put that information in there. He's just talking about a standard, and luckily I was able to, like, cognitively take half a step back in my mind and be like, yo, dude, haven't you had this exact same idea? like, isn't this just another human being giving voice to your own criticism of you? And like, doesn't he have a point? like it's a pretty fair point, and he hasn't been rude to you even in the slightest. Why don't you dial it back and think about it? So that's what I did. And I should have looked up your comment and your name beforehand. So, but maybe it's better that I'm not calling you out. We can do that later, you know? You're right. You're absolutely right. And cheers. And as we have gone back and forth in the comments, I'm implementing a standard, you know, 150 pounds on the back. And just for my own sanity, it's got to be set up the dumb way. It's got to be with the 425s and the 2.5s. I got to hit that every day. I will say that I do think front squat variations should count. And obviously 150, like, that's a heavy front squat for me. It's too heavy for, is it too heavy for work? No, but it's too heavy for a minimum standard. I mean, like, you get the flu some days. Am I supposed to have the flu and front squat 150? That doesn't make sense. So the number for one squat is to be announced. But back squat's 150, man. And thank you. Like, I made this channel for almost a year before anyone really noticed. And there wasn't a lot of back and forth. So I just did what I wanted to do, you know? And now I have people. There are people watching. There are people holding me accountable. And people criticizing me. And it feels really good. Like, really good. Like, and I don't want to lose sight of that with some So yeah, going forward today, that's what we're doing. 150 minimum. And today's speed day. I also noticed that. I'm talking too long and I know it. I noticed it. But today's speed day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build up to a heavy single of 150. And then I'm going to do my speed reps. Because speed reps, there's no way I'm doing speed reps at 150. So today is going to be a big work day for me. Because speed reps wipe my ass out. But also, I kind of like that idea. This will be the first day that the minimum standard is in practice, and I like that. Like, I wonder if I can hit the 150, do the speed reps, and hit the 150 again, like bookend it. As training goes, that's probably a really bad idea. But as like the part of my brain that likes symmetry in action as well as art, what's that called? OCD. That's a mental disorder, brah. I want to do that today. Let's do that. Let's do that together. It'll be fun. Stay tuned. I'll tell you what. It's pretty nice to feel like you're growing up. Like, I'm 45 years old, and I know that's a silly statement, but mostly as I've gotten older, I'm just like, oh, I'm just deteriorating. I'm just slowly dying. Okay, there's no benefit to this. But every once in a while, I do something, or I take some action, or I show some restraint, or kindness, or generosity, or patience in a situation I wouldn't. And I realize I am growing up, though, aren't I? I'm getting just a little bit wiser. That's great, you know? So for those of you who are unfamiliar with this part I always do in time lapse. It's conjugate method dynamic effort. So last week I did 10 sets of 3. I forget the weight, but it was getting heavy. And the whole point of this is speed under the bar. And I should probably slow it down and just show it regular. But it's kind of quirky and fun at this point. I have a tradition going, so I'm not going to. But basically, you're taking something around 50% of your max. You're taking a short rest. I like 45 seconds to a minute each set. And you're just trying to move quickly under the bar, generate force. And pass and fail on this is a little sticky. Boom. Because it's like I could do 10 reps with this weight, even on the last set. But I can't do 10 fast reps, you know? So you got to be honest with yourself a little bit. Like, am I generating force and speed under the bar? And if you don't, that's a fail, you know? And this represents an improvement over the last time I did 10 sets at 2. I usually do 10 sets at 3 or 10 at 2. And the last time I did 120, my last 2 sets, they were just regular reps. They weren't moving fast. And so that's a fail. So I switched to 3s and I waved back down to a lower weight. And this time I got them all, man. And it felt good. And definitely the 150 primer, which I did first and I'm doing last, worked as like a neurodrive stimulator. But also that isn't it. Exactly. And I think the improvements are technique more than anything. So here I do it without my handy dandy milk crate. I'm just checking my depth. I'm watching it for the first time, same as you. Ah, that's good. I do another rep just for good measure. Obviously, I'm still tilting forward and I've got a little bit of butt wink, but I'm not crying about it. So anyway, that's today's offering. I love you guys. Be good to each other out there. See you tomorrow.